Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Shairan. I would like to present about the history of development of Islamic financial system in Malaysia and Indonesia. Our first Islamic financial institution in Malaysia are Lembaga Tabung Haji. Traditionally, the method of savings for the Muslim and rural community in Malaysia consisted of putting their savings under the pillow, mattress and floor, which were buried for safety. Some also purchased of land or livestock and later resold to meet the expenses on the journey to the Holy Land. Rural Muslims in Malaysia had resorted to this means of savings due to the strong desire to be absolute sure that the money for the purpose of pilgrimage will be considered clean or not tainted with usury or riba that was inherent in conventional banking. Based on his sincere desire and aspiration to overcome poverty among Muslims in rural and remote areas, Royal Professor Unku Aziz made several researches in 1950s. Professor Unku Aziz also made some researches and inquiries on the aspect of riba in Islam by seeking the expert opinions of a few learned Islamic scholars. From his thorough investigations on the questions of poverty and savings for pilgrimage, Unku Aziz prepared a working paper entitled Pilgrim's Economic Improvement Plan to the Government of Malaysia in 1959. Next is history and development of Tabung Haji, which was incorporated in 1962, is a manifestation of the Malaysian government concern over the welfare of the Muslim population in relation to their pilgrimage to the Holy Land. The fundamental concept behind the incorporation was to enable Muslims to save for pilgrimage without fear of the money being tainted by riba. Tabung Haji goals is to enable Muslims to save gradually in order to provide for their expenses in performing the pilgrimage or for other expenses beneficial to them, which is to enable Muslims through their savings to participate in investment in industry, commerce, and plantations as well as real estates according to Islamic principles. Second, to provide for protection, control, and welfare of Muslims while on pilgrimage through various facilities and services of Tabung Haji. As in Indonesia, which is Bank Muamalat Indonesia. Essentially, the Islamic financial institution in Indonesia has been established from 1983 with the implementation of the December of 1983 program which is called as Pakdes 83, which contains a range of regulations throughout the banking sector, one of whom is a regulation which allows banks could provide lending with 0% interest. This progress was accompanied by a series of policies in the banking sector by all of the representatives of the Minister of Finance as outlined in the October 1988 briefing kit, which is Part 288. Part 288 was basically the regulation of banks which had the effect of making the banking sector expand at an unprecedented rate and then explode after the 2008 financial crisis. This was in 1991 where Bank Muamalat Indonesia were founded as the only commercial bank that carries out business activities based on the concept of profit sharing. This opportunity was warmly welcomed by the banking community, which was marked by the establishment of several other Islamic banks, namely Bank IFFI, Bank Syariah Mandiri, Bank Niaga, Bank Mega, Bank Bukopin, and BPD Jabar. Next is the guidelines and standards that which they use in Malaysia, which is one of is IFSB, Islamic Financial Service Board. The definition provided provides that the Sharia governance system is an important mechanism to ensure the sustainability of Muamalah principles to be implemented in the Islamic banking system in Malaysia. The establishment of the Islamic Financial Service Board to formulate international sovereignty regulatory standards based on the unique characteristic and risks of Islamic banking institution will contribute towards maintaining the strength and stability of the Islamic financial system. Next is SGF, Sharia Governance Framework. Bank Negara Malaysia issued the Sharia Governance Framework for Islamic Financial Institution in 2010 as a form of improvement as well as a comprehensive model of Sharia governance for Islamic financial institutions in Malaysia. One important moment in strengthening and harmonizing the regulatory aspects of the Islamic financial system in Malaysia is the issuance of new laws called the Islamic Financial Service Act 2010. Next is the challenges that are faced by these both countries. Although there is advisory and supervisory for Islamic banking industries in both countries that have been equipped with various regulations, it still needs improvements in the rules regarding Islamic banking operations. Indeed, in terms of the products offered, the existing regulations are relatively acceptable. But in the case of Islamic banking business operations, the regulation is still far from enough, so it needs to be initiated immediately. Problems that arise, meanwhile, are more basic in Indonesia, particularly in relation to the use of bank interest, the affiliation of mazhab to an Islamic banking development model, and what is known as the conventionalization of Islamic banking agreements. Meanwhile, in Malaysia, in the terms of issues related to fiqh, the two countries face different problems. In Malaysia, the most important issues are by Al-Inah, by Al-Dain, and Islamic banking dispute resolution. It is interesting to note that in practice, the existing transaction, which is by Al-Inah, legal documentation show that these transactions represent the transactions of account payable rather than buying and selling. This discussion involving experts and members of regulatory bodies outside the National Advisory Council at Bank Negara Malaysia produced interesting conclusions. It seems that most of the respondents agree that buy al-ina is a product or transaction that is not desirable but still acceptable when it is proven that a society is still in emergency condition, and this is done for the benefit of maintaining the public interest, which is maslahah al-ammah. And that's all for me for this presentation. Thank you.